let's continue on quickly with our PowerPoint here, which seems to have frozen. Okay, lovely. Okay, so all we're going to do is, again, I have some images and a quick definition and an example for most of the wetlands, okay? Now, I know we've read through a lot of this, but under where you've headed up, just definition, example, okay? And this is what we're talking about. You can see the algal mat, okay? These are our mangroves. You can see the big bendy stalks sticking out of them as well, okay? So in our tidal flats, roughly what it looks like at low tide. When the tide comes in, it'll fill up with water and go up and down, okay? Definition. Let's keep moving, okay? So you can see here where it's kind of covered more in water, and people going into the water, then you can see how deep it gets. Now these ones a bit more important, okay? Tidal flats and mangroves. So our batophora, okay? So this is our batophora here. These little type of kind of algae plants which can survive in the conditions, right? Only small, underwater. I'll show you more pictures of these ones, okay? Red mangroves and black mangroves to come, okay? So here's our red mangroves. Shock horror, they're red, all right? So they stand up in the water on stilt-like roots, so actually all the leaves are above the water. Our black mangroves then, and again, these are the pneumatophores. They stick back up, and the top, the kind of where it gets whiter, these have little holes or pores where they actually breathe through, okay? So it's like a snorkel. Again, you can see that we're situated in water. White mangroves and buttonwoods make up the rest of the species found here. I don't have a picture for those, all right? Tidal creeks then. This is actually in the Bahamian Landscapes book. They are not rivers, okay? Bonefish Pond is an example, all right? But again, you can see the way they all actually come in from the ocean, and then they spread out. They'll flood the lowest areas of land during high tide. I want to show you some creeks then, some examples. Here's Grand Bahama. Okay, we got Freeport over here. If you ever go to the extreme west, or sorry, extreme east, I lie. You can see here where it looks like it's been broken up into lots of different islands, all right? If which you look at the Google Earth map, okay, you will see they're all called different keys, and it looks like they've been split in half, but actually these are creeks that go all the way across, all right? So when the tide goes low, you can move between these keys. When the tide comes up, these creeks fill with salt water and break up the land. Really interestingly is actually this is the very end. So if we went off past Michael's Key, off the end of Grand Bahama, okay, we're coming off the end here. If you look, this is what it looks like from space. So actually you can see the land, just these white bits are the land just underwater. So actually this is not very deep at all. Okay, this piece actually breaks the surface here, and again you can see the channels of water running between it. So because the Bahamas is so shallow, once the tide comes in or out, it can have a dramatic effect, okay? I'm going to show you some of the Andros creeks as well. Here's New Providence. We got Andros over here, and you can see again, just like in Grand Bahama, the channels. Okay, if we go to Google Earth again, the lighter the water, the shallower it is. So again, they divide up Andros massively, all right? We got our lagoons. Little definition for what a lagoon is. Hogstay Reef is an example. This isn't Hogstay Reef, this picture. Okay, this is in the Indian Ocean, other side of the world. But again, it's a horseshoe shape, goes nearly the whole way around, breaks the surface at some points. This is your lagoon in the middle. Okay, very shallow, calm water. Again, what we have here, this is called a sand spit. So you've actually got, this is in Europe, you've got land here, and then there's the build-up of land here. This would be a lagoon. It's enclosed on 3 sides. We will look at this much more when we do coasts, okay, so don't worry about that too much right now. Our swamps then, okay, an area which is saturated with water but has built up material and sediment. Over time the swamp will become more and more solid land. Okay, behind Cable Beach, we're going to look at that in just a second. Alright, so again, you can still see there's water, but start to see how much vegetation is established, alright? And the mangroves trap lots of sediment and don't let it escape. So this will eventually become land. Alright, let's look at Miami first. Okay, so this is obviously Florida, we got Miami, and this is Miami Beach in here. This is actually very similar. Alright, if we look on the map, so this is land just here, okay? And then what we have, Okay, so sorry about that. So what we have actually is, this is built up land, and then this lagoon in behind, it's covered on 3 sides. This is the shallowest area, so in the future this will start to fill up, all right, and be reclaimed, as we said, and built on. So if we look at a little Google map, all right, and again, let me just take you through this. So we got New Providence, you got Paradise Island just here. If we zoom in here on our Cable Beach, all right, so what Cable Beach actually is, and again, some of these terms will become clearer once we do coasts. Cable Beach runs along this piece of land here, all right. Now, we know we've got a ridgeland that runs along in here. We've talked about that already. It runs the whole length of the north side of New Providence. In here was all swampland, and then where Sandyport was all swamp. But then we reclaimed that land. It got very shallow. We filled it in with sand and cement and soil and whatever else, and have built on it. Okay, then we've got our ridgeland, and then we've got Lake Cunningham. If we change again to look at the Google map, we got the ocean, you got Cable Beach. Okay, now you've actually got Bahamar, and you got all the westward villas and Sandyport. Previously, all of this area here was a big swamp. My hand is probably too big. All of this was swampland. Okay, you can still see the lakes here and here. All right, but we filled it in, and then you've got Lake Cunningham behind. So that's what Cable Beach area is like now. All right, it's a very good example of lots of our Bahamian landscapes. Okay, so that's Miami. The last little thing I want to go through, all right, is just the value of mangroves. Now, we're going to look at coral reefs next week, but mangroves have a huge variety of very important uses and things that they do. All right, you don't write the bit in the white, but I do want to note of all of these things. They're incredibly biodiverse. Okay, they're home to a huge variety of animals, and they're often the breeding grounds where these creatures reproduce. All right, very important in terms of biodiversity. They also maintain water quality. They remove sediments and impurities. They absorb impurities from the water. Carbon storage. They absorb huge amounts of carbon dioxide during photosynthesis, and then they store a huge amount of it in their roots underwater where it can't escape. All right. Coastal defense. Mangroves are coastal, and they protect us from storms. This is probably the biggest thing they do for the Bahamas. They're incredibly dense vegetation. Look back at the pictures I showed you of the red and black mangroves, and they have extensive root networks which hold the soil together, hold the sand dunes together, and they're vitally important against slowing down and breaking up waves. All right. Materials. They provide a lot of materials, from building materials to medicinal purposes. People are still researching just how valuable they can be, but they do offer a lot of valuable materials. And finally, tourism. Okay, they're starting to be used a lot for ecotourism and centres for education about the environment. All right. So that's the last of your notes then. Okay. I went through that quite quickly, but you can go back and look at your pictures and make sure you get all these little notes down. Okay, there's no assignment, so that's wetlands done. All right, we'll be moving on to coral reefs on Monday and continuing with Bahamian landscapes next week.